You know how there are revolvers out there that shoot like a dream but carry like a friggin' brick? Well, if you think about it, most revolvers are like that. The question is, if you want a lightweight wheel gun that's actually worth carrying, what are your options? In this video, we'll talk about 7 lightweight revolvers that won't drag your pants down. Compact snubbies that balance portability, practicality, and stopping power. We've got classics and newcomers, steel and scandium, budget-friendly blasters, and high-end carry pieces. You might be a die-hard 357 Magnum fan, or maybe you're someone who's looking to shed ounces from your everyday carry setup. There's something in this list for you. We'll start with a Retro 38 Special with film noir vibes and a $360 price tag that's hard to beat. Then we'll climb the ladder with a stainless snub that can handle full house loads without beating you up. From there, we'll check out innovative new contenders, multi-caliber options, all the way to Smith & Wesson's top-tier stuff. If you're sick and tired of revolvers that feel like boat anchors but you still want real-world stopping power, stick around. These 7 carry guns bring the heat without the heft. Heritage dug into its back catalog of Americana when it cooked up the Roscoe, and it shows. The snub's 2-inch barrel rides in a frame that runs 6.5 inches nose to tail, 4.8 inches top to heel, and just 1.41 inches across, so it slips under a flannel without printing. An unloaded weight of 22 ounces feels substantial enough to tame muzzle flip, but light enough that your belt stays put. Street prices hover around $360, which lets new shooters test the waters without maxing a credit card. The Roscoe keeps things simple with a 5-hole cylinder, yet it still eats any 38 special load up to plus P. You can plink with wad cutters on Saturday and carry 135 grain short barrel defense loads on Monday. The polished black steel and walnut grips play well at barbecue night, and those same grips soak up recoil better than they look like they should. Reliability reports from early owners sound solid, with timing, lockup, and ejection all behaving exactly the way they should. Drawbacks? You give up the 6th chamber you might find in Price Your Guns, and 38 Special isn't exactly a Magnum. It also helps that the Roscoe was unveiled not too long ago, so it still carries that fresh-off-the-line appeal. Great for folks who like owning something new yet timeless. Charter Arms figured shooters shouldn't need 2 revolvers to run 3 calibers, and the Double Dog proves the point. The snub model stretches 6.75 inches overall and weighs an even 22 ounces, keeping it right in the sweet spot for discreet carry. Pricing starts at $637 for the 2-inch version and climbs to $659 if you prefer the 4.2-inch barrel for hiking duty. Swapping from 357 Magnum or 38 Special to 9mm takes seconds because Charter's dual-coil extractor pops empties without moon clips. 5-shot cylinders keep the frame svelte, so the gun hides under a t-shirt better than the 7-round Taurus 692. Stainless construction shrugs off sweat, and Charter lets buyers pick either a classic satin look or a black passivated treatment for extra corrosion resistance. Charter also included a ported barrel with a full underlug and added weight-reducing diamond cuts along the barrel to help keep the profile balanced. It uses their proven transfer bar safety system too, which ensures the gun won't fire unless the trigger is intentionally pulled, giving concealed carriers one less thing to worry about when drawing from under pressure. Granted, there are some trade-offs. That missing 6th chamber might nag at you, and Charter's trigger feels kind of service-grade rather than glassy. Still, the Double Dog delivers a flexible loadout at a price that won't wreck the vacation fun. For folks who reload 9mm by the bucket and still want 357 horsepower at home, this revolver makes a lot of sense. Kimber built a reputation on slick 1911s, but its K6ES shows the company can spin cylinders as confidently as it mills slides. Overall length comes in at 6.62 inches, height at 4.46 inches, and width at 1.39 inches, tighter than most duty pistols and perfect for appendix carry. The all-stainless frame nudges the scale to 23 ounces, which sounds chunky until you remember this pocket cannon chamber's 357 Magnum. MSRP sits at $1,029, though gun store counters usually shave a bit off that tag. 6 shots in a revolver this small still feel like a magic trick. Kimber doesn't cheat either. The cylinder walls stay beefy, lockup stays bank vault tight, and the factory trigger breaks like a glass rod after a smooth roll. Enthusiasts rave about the satin finish that resists holster wear and about the contouring that melts sharp edges without looking goofy. A few caveats apply. Stainless steel resists the elements, but weighs more than alloy, so the K6S rides heavier than the aluminum-framed guns on this list. Recoil in Magnum flavor remains brisk even with the extra mass, and Kimber parts cost Kimber money when you decide to swap sights or grips. If you can live with those points, you get 6 Magnum rounds in a package barely bigger than a snubby 38, a combination that will always have my respect. Unlike its aluminum-framed sibling, the K6SS, which unfortunately didn't make the list. The K6S is built entirely from stainless steel and offers a more durable platform with significantly less felt recoil. It also makes full-power loads much more manageable for those who plan to actually train with it and include it in their concealed carry rotation. Florida-based Diamondback named its self-defense revolver exactly that. No marketing poetry, just an honest job description. The SDR measures 6.53 inches long, 4.44 inches high, and 1.38 inches wide, and tips the scales at only 21.2 ounces. Diamondback pulls that trick by marrying an aluminum frame to a steel barrel and cylinder, then shaving every ounce of excess metal it can. Sticker price lands around $770, undercutting most premium snubs while offering more firepower than budget models. 6-round capacity and .357 Magnum sets the SDR apart from the typical 5-shot crowd. The 9-pound double-action pull feels smooth and stack-free, while single-action mode drops to a competition-light 2 pounds. A fiber optic front blade ships with spare filaments so you can match the sight color to your eyes or to the shooting environment, and the fully adjustable rear lets you zero any load from 110 grain screamers to 158 grain thumpers. Nothing is perfect. Because the gun weighs just over 21 ounces, true Magnum ammo still reminds your palm who's boss, and Diamondback's parts network isn't as deep as Smith's. Aesthetically, the slab-sided barrel evokes modern service pistols, which may turn off traditionalists. Still, if you want the lightest 6-shot Magnum made today, the SDR answers that call without emptying the wallet. While it didn't grab headlines with its almost non-existent branding, it quickly made waves among revolver fans looking for a serious carry option. It's currently the lightest 6-shot .357 Magnum revolver on the market, and that alone gives it a unique place in the snub-nose category, especially for those counting every ounce. Lipsy's teamed up with Smith & Wesson to create the ultimate carry J-frame, and the result fills a niche many of us didn't realize needed filling. The little wheel gun measures 6.31 inches long, 4.3 inches tall, 1.3 inches wide, and weighs a featherweight 16.3 ounces thanks to its airweight aluminum frame. The exclusive price sits at $759, which is somewhat reasonable for the custom touches it carries. As far as chamberings, Big Blue offers 2. You can pick a 6-shot cylinder in .32 H&R Magnum for soft recoil and 1 extra round, or stick with the more common 5-shot .38 Special Plus P. Either way, you get an XS tritium front sight and a serrated U-notch rear for fast sight pictures day or night. Aggressive V to Z G10 stocks lock your hand in place and add some flair, whether you choose the black cherry or stainless gray theme. Ammo availability counts as the chief drawback for the .32 H&R option. Local shops rarely stock it next to the sea of 9mm and .223. The 38th version avoids that issue but drops 1 round. Everything else, including the glass-smooth lockup and snag-free lines, makes this J-frame a terrific pocket companion. I think Smith & Wesson could have taken this concept even further by chambering it in .327 Federal Magnum, which would have opened the door to multiple compatible calibers while keeping recoil manageable and capacity at 6 rounds. That small decision might have turned this into a modern-day Medusa revolver and had more folks buzzing about it beyond the usual Lipsies and snub-nose circles. The Model 640 Pro shows what happens when Smith's Performance Center tweaks a classic. Built entirely of stainless steel, this J-frame stretches 6.6 inches in length, stands 4.3 inches tall, and stays a trim 1.3 inches wide. a carry-friendly 22-ounce weight range in .357 Magnum recoil without feeling like you're hauling a brick. MSRP hovers around $959, but street prices often dip into the low eights. Factory enhancements include dovetailed tritium sights front and rear, rare on a revolver this size, and a cylinder cut for full moon clips. I'll admit, clips aren't my favorite, yet they reload faster than loose rounds when seconds matter. The internal hammer keeps the profile smooth, and the double-action only trigger breaks clean when you familiarize yourself with it. Downsides are limited. The gun's all-steel frame adds a few ounces compared to alloy cousins, and moon clips require care to avoid bending. If you can handle those points, you get a slip-in-your-jeans blaster that shoots like a bigger gun and runs forever with basic maintenance. If you're going to get one of these, Smith & Wesson designed it with pocket carry in mind, which explains the fully enclosed hammer and the choice to stick with a heavy double-action only trigger. It's not the kind of revolver you'd want going off with a light touch in your jeans, and that longer pull adds a layer of real-world safety. If you want the absolute lightest .357 Magnum revolver on the market, this is it. The Smith & Wesson 340 PD weighs a ridiculous 12 ounces unloaded, lighter than a lot of pocket knives, thanks to its scandium alloy frame paired with a titanium cylinder. It's a 5-shooter with a barrel just under 2 inches, measuring 6.38 inches long and 1.3 inches wide. The grip is compact, the sights are basic, red ramp up front and a fixed notch at the rear, and the trigger is classic double-action only, just like you'd expect from a Centennial J-frame. MSRP hovers around $1,149, but depending on your dealer, street prices may run a lot less. Now for the trigger-happy types, just a quick heads up. This is not a gun you take to the range for fun. Firing full-house Magnum loads, especially 125 grain screamers, will beat your hand to death if you're not used to it. In fact, longtime owners avoid lightweight bullets altogether. Anything under 125 grains may erode the titanium cylinder over time. Sadly, that's just the price you pay for shaving every last ounce. But if your main concern is carry comfort and you value a revolver that disappears in your pocket, the 340 PD does that better than anything else on the shelf. This revolver is about function over frills. There's no internal lock to worry about, no extra controls to snag on the draw, and no fancy finishes to baby. It's a purpose-built gun for people who care more about staying armed and mobile than about stacking 2-inch groups at 25 yards. It's also not a gun for tinkerers. The ramp front sight isn't fancy, and you won't find night sights like the M&P 340 offers, but that trade-off gets you the lowest carry weight of any Magnum revolver made today. For deep concealment, backup carry, or ultralight EDC, the 340 PD is hard to beat. Just be sure your hands are ready for it. So there you go. 7 revolvers that pack a punch without packing on the weight. Regardless of your purpose, maybe you're counting ounces or counting on your gear to save your life, these picks will get the job done. Which one would you trust to ride on your hip? Drop your favorite in the comments, hit like if you learned something new, and don't forget to share, subscribe, and smash that bell icon for more no-nonsense 2A content. Stay sharp and stay armed.